Welcome to Knafs at Night, I'm Ben.
I'm Austin.
And today we're talking about tariffs and how they could impact the price of pocket knives.
We're gonna eat some wet seaweed and a baggie of dead fish.
I'm not looking forward to that.
Yum.
And lastly, we have the Lander 4 in the Lunar Edition. We'll tell you why we only made about 70 pieces of this. Let's
go! Before we talk tariffs, we're gonna talk giveaway. Subscribe to our newsletter where we give away a knife every single week, one like this Lander one right here. All you have to do is go to knafs.com/newsletter to sign up, to be subscribed to enter. Last week's winner was Michael C. from Tacoma, Washington.
Congrats, Michael.
Congrats.
All right, guys, now we dive into tariffs. I have prepared a slideshow. We're going to do an analog format.
All right.
So here's the deal. A lot of news lately. In fact, as I was preparing this yesterday,
Yes.
President Trump came out with new tariffs.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about those as well. But let's talk about what is a tariff to begin with. Because I think if you haven't lived in the world of importing,
Right.
you have no idea what it is and how it works.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't have experience until this job, and this is the first time that I've ever really had to think about tariffs.
So basically, anything that is imported into the United States is charged a tariff. Maybe not anything, because it's very, very complex. Every single thing that comes into this country has what's called an HTS code, a harmonized tariff schedule
Yep.
code.
Yep.
So basically, a tariff is a tax on imported or exported goods. That's the big thing. So when an item comes in, there is a tax on that item. Could be this table, could be this t-shirt. Everything has an HTS code, and that HTS code applies to how much you get charged. So why do people do tariffs, right?
Yes.
Three things. ChatGPT wrote this for us, but it's perfect.
Oh.
It's to protect domestic industries, generate government revenue, and regulate trade.
Yep.
So that's kind of what's happening right now in our country. Literally just yesterday, President Trump applied 10% tariffs on any import, which is interesting because when we look at,
All right.
are you ready for
Turn
this,
that
Austin?
page.
How much does a tariff cost?
Yeah.
Now, this is where it gets kind of wild because tariffs can be cumulative where they start to stack. So for instance, if we were importing this clip point Lander 3 from Yangjiang, China, there would be a 50% tariff on this knife. Actually 50.4% plus 3 cents per unit. Future Ben here, interrupting old Ben talking because things have changed wildly. It has been a crazy week when it comes to tariffs. So we were looking at a piece of paper where we were talking about tariffs at 50%. As of today, those tariffs are at 175%. Basically what happened is last week, China put reciprocal tariffs on the US, tariffs went up to 84%, and then they went up to 125%. So when we're looking at that total, it's 175.4% plus 3 cents per unit. Things have gotten wild. Now, I don't even feel confident that when this video comes out tomorrow that this will be accurate because things are changing so drastically and dramatically. However, the way they're calculated, the way they work is going to be the same whether the tariff rate is 84%, 90%, whatever. It's just fluctuating and changing so stinging quickly. Back to past Ben. So here's how it works. Basically, this is the schedule right here. This is the heading. So each one of these headings says on this particular product, this is heading that ends in 3.5. This is for pocket knives, folding pocket knives, and the price per unit is 3 cents, and then 5.4% of the cost of this knife.
Right. So anytime you ship any amount of knives here from, let's say, China in this example, that you have to pay that flat rate.
Correct. Let's just say for easy math, let's say this is a $10 cost knife. That's what the manufacturer charges us. We would pay 5.4%,
Right.
which, do some quick math for me.
54 cents, I think.
54 cents plus 3, so about 57 cents.
Yep.
Right? So not a terrible deal, right? Now, this is where the cumulative starts to stack.
Right.
So what you have here, this was a tariff that happened in 2018. This is a 25% tariff on anything coming from China within certain classes of goods. Pocket knives are part of that class of goods,
Right.
that HTS code. And so you add a 25% tariff to that. If this is a $10 cost knife,
Yep.
now we're paying
$2.50 plus the 57 cents or whatever we had before.
So we're up to about $3.
Yep.
Thank you for being our mathematician.
You're welcome.
I can make slides, but I cannot do math on the fly.
That's all right, we got it.
And then earlier this year, a new tariff came in. This was in March of this year. That was 20% on any goods coming out of China as well.
Yep.
So now we're sitting at 50.4% plus that 3 cents per unit. I wish it were just that 3 cents per unit. That would be enjoyable.
That would be nice. We'd like that.
That's not how it works. So what you end up with is
Here you go.
A knife. So I had ChatGPT. We kind of combined Edge of Intelligence. And this is getting good, Austin.
Impressively good.
I plugged it into ChatGPT. I said, can you design a pocket knife for me? I just need a random knife.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, what do you want? And I'm like, just make it a bestseller. And it like cranked it out. So if anybody's looking for a knife design, start here.
Classy.
So this is the Apex, it even named it for me, the Apex EDC Pro by ChatGPT. So we did this example, and we already did some of this math, but basically what happened is back even 6 months ago, we would have been looking at a 30% tariff, that 25% plus that 5%. Right. So you would have been looking at a total, let's say the knife was $20, you'd be looking at a total tariff with the tariff of $26. Mm-hmm. So typically in retail, you're looking at anywhere from like a 3 to 4x on what you sell it at. So we just 3x'd it for ease of use. There's your 3x. Your retail price would be about $78. Mm-hmm. Now, with this new tariff at 50%, you're looking at a new retail price of about $90. So you've got an increase of 15% on that thing, just out of the gate for consumers. Now, this is where it gets a little bit wild, because just yesterday,
oh boy,
there could be an additional 34% on top of that, bringing it to 84%. On items imported from China.
Right.
Future Ben here again to give you a quick breakdown of my Apex Pro coming out. So here's what happens when you apply that 175% tariff to this thing. You go from a $90 retail knife to a $165 knife. So you went from a retail price that was up 15% to 111%. So basically you're taking a $78 knife, you're making it 165 buckaroos. So getting kind of wild and trippy out there. So it begs the question. This question right here. Isn't this fun, analog slides? Just make it here. We'll talk about that next after we talk about a few other things. That's called a tease. We're not very good at them, but we have fun with it. So what's up next, Austin?
We're going to talk about a new exclusive that just dropped today.
I love it.
Lunar Lander 4.
The Lunar Lander 4 launches today. That's a little bit of a limerick, a tongue twister.
Oh, we love our alliterations here.
We do. So these are fun because each one of these is individualized and serialized. So this is actually the topography of the moon. So we took a NASA scan, we got nerdy with it, and our friend Randall at ChromaScales overlaid that on each of these. So each one is unique, a unique piece of the moon.
This is one of the coolest projects that I think we do because, as you said, it is a totally piece-unique thing. The other interesting thing about this is these scales are really hard to make, you guys. They are 3D printed. I forget the technique, but they're 3D printed in Chicago by Randall, who we mentioned. And they tend to have some failures. I think the texture has a lot to do with that. Yeah. So because of that, you'll notice that they're numbered from 1 minute 40 seconds down. That's 100 seconds of a countdown. But we were only able to produce about 70, 75 knives. So
these will be super limited.
Super limited, and it's going to be kind of spotty numbers too, because the numbers actually match a number on the scale as well. Yes.
I like it. Comes with a Lunar Lander bead and your classic Lander 4 sheath. So if you are a collector of things, there will be 100 of these. Well, not 100, about 70 of them.
That's right.
Out in the wild. They launch today, now, as this video goes live.
Go snag one, guys.
Austin, have you ever been to Germany?
I have never been, always wanted to
Would you like to go today?
I would love to go. I would love to see some people that maybe do some custom work.
I like it. Let's go to Daily Custom Shop in Germany. I was there last year, and this is a field trip. What is up, guys? I am outside of Hamburg, Germany with
Yannick.
Yannick from Daily Customs. What are we doing here, man?
I think we do visit the company today, right?
I love it. Give me a tour, man. Let's do it.
So yeah, we are basically in our mother company, Curious, which is a company building stuff for other companies. Daily Customs and Daily Knives are a part of it. We do have 5 different shops in total. We do have 60 employees in total.
Tell me this, how did Daily Customs start? What's the story there?
After I finished my studies, we thought about a project in this company where we can build and sell our own products. So, and I was into knives and EDC and all kind of that, so we started this. So this is our first shop where basically most of the machining is happening. We have 3 5-axis milling machines on the left, and we do have some flat milling machines on the right. Shop 2 is also about machining. We do have another 5-axis milling machine. We have 3-axis milling machine. We do have some EDC tools in the first operation here. So yeah, everything we do in-house. Shop 3. This is where we started the company 30 years ago, or my father founded the company 30 years ago. Right now, we have our packaging, quality control when it comes to finishes and surfaces here. And most of our products are actually running through all shops to be finished.
One thing I find really interesting about your business is it's diversified.
It is,
right?
yeah.
Meaning you're not just making pocket knives or pocket knife scales, you're doing all this other stuff too.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good business move for you, right? Because
It
you
is.
can keep your machines running.
It is. So the most important thing for us is that our machines are running. Every hour our machines aren't running for other companies. They can run for either Daily Customs or Daily Knives.
So if you don't mind saying, how in a percentage, how much of your business is pocket knives?
Almost 20%. Now at shop 4, we do have some laser welding machines on the right, and we do have some laser engraving machines on the left. On the left side, on the laser engraving machines are mostly running parts for Daily Customs. So yeah, and shop 5 is our newest one. We're gonna build it up to all kinds of finishes. So stonewash is over there. We have some grinding, we have some cutting, we have some bending. All of the daily business of Daily Customs and Daily Knives is going out of this office. Paul and Pierre are both working in design.
Working hard? Or are you working?
One day per week. Our first products were changeable Swiss Army knife scales. So the demand was super high back then, and after that we started the AK1 with Boker together. So a lot of different blade shapes, a lot of different finishes. You can choose scale material. I believe we have almost 1.2 million different options to build up an AK1. As I said, we have almost 60 employees in total, and to keep everybody fed is a big deal. So that's what I'm proud of.
And there you have it, guys. That was Daily Custom Shop in Germany with Yannick. Thank you, sir. Where can the good people find you?
You can either find us on Instagram, dailycustoms.shop, or on our website.
Thank you so much. You're the man.
You're welcome.
Back to the desk. Coming back from Germany, this is a 2x72-inch belt sander.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about this in a minute, but first, where are we headed, Austin?
We're going to the Ship Shape Sharpening Shop.
Where Keith uses these to sharpen knives.
Hey guys, welcome to Ship Shape Sharpening Shop. My name is Keith, and today we've got some cool stuff in here. We got a couple Desert Warriors. We got this Kalash XL. Big old two-hander, I mean for my small mitts, you know, but yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool knife. And then we've got a Cold Steel Recon 1, also a Desert Warrior. S35, just a sweet little piece there. I like that. Nice snap when you open it. We've got a Benchmade Griptilian here that basically looks like a triage now. It's got a broken tip, obviously. I'm gonna reprofile that blade there and get it fixed up for him and have it back to him good as new. So thank you guys. Back to you at the desk.
So I think one of the big things when it comes to tariffs, people say, well, just make it here. And this is a super interesting topic to me because I've spent the last 2.5 years trying to make things here in the US. And so I know a little bit more than I used to. I'm not the world's foremost expert, but here are a couple things to consider when you think about making things in the USA and global supply chains. So for instance, a blade grinder. This is a very expensive piece of machinery. Basically what it does is it grinds the edges of the knife, this portion right here. So these are made on 2 different machines at scale within the knife industry. So Benchmade uses, I'm going to point very carefully here. If I were a professor, I would take a pocket knife and I would use it as a baton.
Put it on a long stick and point with it. Yeah, I love that.
So they use what's called a Siepmann grinder. And then a lot of other companies like ProTech, White River as well, they use burger grinders. And basically what these do is they're very advanced machines that put the grind on the blade. And this is one of the hardest parts of knife making, is getting that grind in there. These machines are finicky. They don't always work correctly, but they're a very, very important part of the entire process. Now, these 2 companies are based in Germany. Now, is that to say all of their parts are made in Germany? Probably not.
Right.
In fact, I think one of them has a part of their company in the US, which is great. We need to be making things in the US, right? But Germany is kind of the place to get your burger grinder.
The things that make your knives,
The things that make your knives. I learned this week. This is fascinating to me because there's been, we've talked a lot about Crucible over the last few months. Crucible was just bought by a French company. So Niagara Steel, Niagara Specialty Metals, that manages a lot of the different steels that we love, S35, Magnica, that sort of thing. It all runs through Niagara. They let us know on the social media, and Larry and Thomas shared this. One challenge we do have is tariffs, especially on material from Aristil in Europe. We're going to do what we can to minimize the cost impact, but we wanted to be upfront about that piece. Lastly, and this is important, there are no domestic sources that can atomize the powder needed to make these powder metallurgy steels. That step has been done overseas by both mills for several years, so that's not new. But it's a part of why the supply chain will always involve some international logistics. Somebody asked in the comments of Laren's post, where does that happen? Niagara jumped in and said Sweden. So what could happen as tariffs take place, right? If we charge Sweden a 10% tariff, they may come back with a reciprocal tariff. And so now your steel is leaving the US, it's going to Sweden, and it's coming back into the US and it's getting tariffed twice. It's the same thing that happens when you put an S35 on a steel in China, right? This is coming from Crucible, or historically was. And this is where it's weird because it's all in flux right now too.
It's a weird time right now.
It's a very weird time. This steel, made in the USA, S35, is shipped from the US to China. They make a knife out of it, and then it is tariffed on the way back. Now, one thing that's hard for me to research is what are the tariff rates going into China, because they are putting reciprocal tariffs in place on things going into China.
The tariffs that were just announced by the president yesterday were all reciprocal tariffs, meaning that those countries already had tariffs on imports from us.
Correct.
So that would be explaining then, okay, that means that we have or China has some sort of tariff going with us.
So taxed on the way out, taxed on the way back in. This is where it gets really interesting to me too. So CNC mills, these are what are used to make handles and finished blades and things like that. So like a Sile X7, that comes from China. Great machine, by the way.
Yes.
More on that later. Not in this episode though. That's a tease. That's a long-term tease. Hawses are made in the U.S. We had a conversation this morning talking about the electronics in a Haws. Are those made in the U.S.?
Right.
I don't know.
We don't know. Yeah.
DMG Mori, they're a very sophisticated CNC mill. Headquartered in Japan, I think they do have a factory here, and they have factories all over the world, so worldwide on that. And then down in the corner, and titanium, glue, fabric, hardware, and abrasives. So when we look at like micarta, this is purchased in the US. Where is it actually made? It's milled here, right? Like there's a set of scales milled in the US. Secrets, teases. That's all we're going to say about
I got nothing else to add there. But where does the canvas come from? Where does the glue come from? The resin, right?
Correct.
Like, that's the question.
Correct. Even this abrasive, I was curious last night. This is from Keith's workbench from the ShipShape Sharpening Shop. Right there, made in Germany.
Okay.
Right? So with a 10% tariff on anything coming from Germany, and it could be more, I didn't look at the schedule that was put out last night. This could be even higher, right? And so sharpening a knife, we've got on our board over here, we charge $2 an inch.
Right.
Well, now if our belts are costing more than they used to, we're going to say, well, now it's $2.50 an inch, or whatever that is, right? And so this idea of just make it here, and I want to be very clear, this is a politically charged thing, and we're trying to approach it from these are facts, this is happening to all of us.
Right.
The song I had in my head this morning, I mentioned this before we started, was from High School Musical.
Yeah.
We're all in this together.
One of your favorites, right?
It's great. It was filmed right here in Utah.
It is.
Man.
It was. That was.
But the thing about all of this is we're part of this global supply chain, all of us.
Yeah.
And I think it's easy to just say, well, just make it here.
Yeah.
What I have found is just make it here is actually quite complicated, and it is hard. So for me, I don't look at this as a political thing. I look at this as adapt or die,
Yes.
right? And we should be doing just make it here, figure that out, right? But at the same time, it is its own complex system, and I don't know that it's as simple as we might hope it is.
This is a business challenge for sure. I think especially small businesses here in America are going to be impacted by this because it's hard to, there's this balance of generating revenue and then spending that money, and there's a very fine line that everyone is trying to toe. And if that revenue stays the same, but that money, it costs more now to purchase the inventory and stuff like that, a lot of businesses can't just take that impact, right? They just can't absorb that.
And it's interesting because a lot of this is happening very quickly. So when an announcement is made, you and I, a month ago, we kind of had this panic session when the first.
Oh, yeah.
Because here's what happened for us. We were literally about to launch the Kickstarter on the Lander 5. And we're working out pricing. Like, how much should this cost? And you and I sat down, we were probably at it for 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah. Just like brought in desks into the middle of the office, just brainstorm and such.
Well, and trying to understand it too, because the thing about this, we talked about the codes at the beginning. Each of those HTS codes, it isn't super clear. It's not like you just jump on the website and punch in what it is and find the HTS code.
Right.
This takes like brain power, and then you get these invoices from brokers or whoever's shipping or importing for you, and you're like, well, why do we get charged that? And you're like, oh, well, now this new HTS code applies. So I think that there's a misconception within all of this too, that it's like, well, just make it here. We've talked about that, but I think that's where complexity comes in, because it might be that your packaging or a part of your product is not made here, or it has a component like the fibers in a box. Are those made here? I don't know. Right. And so there will be tariffs that come down the supply chain that will happen regardless, right? And so somewhere along the line that will have to be absorbed. It's an interesting moment. We're going to talk more about what happened yesterday just a little bit. And again, you like the guy, you don't like the guy. It actually doesn't matter to me.
Right.
This is the world we're living in.
Yeah.
And it's sort of this adapt or die. We're all in this together. Right?
Yeah.
I feel like we should be dancing in a high school auditorium.
There's not a lot as individuals or even a small business that we can do to change anything, so we must adapt, as you said.
We must adapt. And we'll talk about kind of the adaptations that will have to happen as these new tariffs come into place. But first, what are we talking about next?
We're going to go to the Moon Crew, check out some posts.
I like it.
Let's do it.
Ooh.
He's doing a good job. Yeah, he's got quite
From
the
the
Ben
Moon
collection.
Crew, man.
Yeah,
Check that out.
really cool.
Dude,
Yeah, this is Chris Wu.
that's amazing. Like, look at all of the landers, all of the banters. Not all of them, but man,
Quite the Ben collection here.
that is.
Yeah, what are we missing? A Yipper?
There's a yipper missing. Can we be like, is it missing?
I won't say it's missing.
What else could he add to it?
There we go. Does he have Lulus in there?
He doesn't have any Lulu. He has a style here, though.
Yeah.
Like, definite. I love seeing the aftermarket scales, too. There's some cool aftermarket. I don't even know where all those scales come from.
I don't either, but they are classy.
They're
Some
super
metal
awesome.
stuff.
That's cool.
Cool.
What else is on there, Austin?
Yeah, next up we've got AP Vibes, who's actually one of my favorite follows in the group. She's a great poster. But she showed us her weekend carry, her
Nice.
Swiss Army knife, which she said she uses a lot to pry with. And then her new favorite box opener. She said she got I think it was a kitchen table delivered over the weekend, and so she used that to cut up all the boxes and stuff like
Nice.
that. So
I love lanyards. Nick Lafort, who does a little bit of writing for us, has really turned me on to lanyards and like how they can express like life.
yes,
So like I look at this Victorinox, it's got a few scratches and things, but like that lanyard says like, I've been in a pocket.
I think getting a lander for myself has started me down the lanyard loophole, rabbit hole, I guess is the word I'm looking for there. And you're right, it is an expression. You can do anything with that stuff. It's a lot of fun.
Okay, this is where it gets weird. Instruments, Austin. What's going on in the Moon Crew with instruments, man?
Tadakimi, our guy, he's got the interesting scales that we'll talk a little bit about as well later. But I think it was last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, I think someone posted a picture with their guitar and their knife, and that started this whole thing of like, okay, well now I'm going to post my jaw harp, and now I'm going to post my, I forget what kind of flute, Japanese flute. So just a fun musical knife trend.
I love that. I love how hobbies cross over. If you're not part of the Moon Crew, it's a Facebook group that is community managed, and it's sometimes chaotic and super fun and supportive. So go join it. It's on Facebook.
We'd love to see you there.
What's next?
Let's keep talking about scales. Let's get into the mailbox.
Ooh, I like it.
Yes, so we just saw these on the screen, but we got a little package from our boy Tadakimi, and he sent over his custom designed lander scales.
Dude,
these are funky.
I don't want to like yuck anybody's yum.
Yeah.
These are wonky, man.
They are funky.
We got 2 versions of them. We got the green version too.
Yeah.
We've had these on the show, but I've never held them.
Yeah.
It's the first time I've held them. And I'm like, holy smokes. Like this, we basically went from, where did that lander go?
Oh, yes.
There it is.
Here you go.
We basically went from this right here to that right there. It's kind of wild.
Crazy. What I love about this, though, is that Tadakimi had some problem that he wanted to solve. I don't know if that was like maybe it wasn't comfortable in his hand. He just wanted more grip, whatever that is. And he took to a 3D printer, some CAD software or something, and kind of made his own. I think that's very cool.
It's super fun. It's even like the little thumb stud overlay.
Yeah, the extension sort of thing.
It's fascinating.
Really cool.
I don't know what I would do with this. This is just like I want it to fit in my hand, and it just doesn't. My hand is like, why are you doing this to me?
I like it.
I've been going to the gym. You probably can't tell in picture.
Swole.
No, but they have these grips like that you can hook to the machines, and I always look at some of them, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with that.
Okay.
That's kind of how I feel about this one. Is like, where do I put my hand?
This is a grip strength improver for a knife.
Or something.
Yeah, that's funny.
That's cool.
Right on. He also sent some snacks, by the way.
Okay, can we eat these snacks at the end, though?
We can save them for the end.
I just don't know if I can keep filming and be intelligent after eating seaweed and little fish.
Little fish, yeah, baggie of little dead fish. So we'll save these for the end, but these were also from Tadakimi.
Like they have eyes and stuff. Like I'm cool with eating stuff, but like let's do it at the very end.
I said this off camera. I can be a bit of a picky eater. I don't want to eat anything with a head still attached, but I will.
It's
I
there.
Absolutely will.
We're going for those.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for that.
We had a coin as well.
Ooh, the little guy.
The moon pie.
The moon pie.
Yes.
This was from our friend, I think his name's James, who dropped off all sorts of stuff, pictures and things. This is a moon pie pocket knife with a little...
Crazy. No, you're right.
It is?
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, it looks like
Sorry, I'm shaking my head as in like, this is ridiculous.
And you got a little bottle opener on there. So,
yeah.
I don't know that I would carry that. It feels like it's, I don't know, but it's cool.
It's super neat. Yeah, fun little keychain accessory.
Do you like moon pies?
No.
I don't either. They're kind of dry.
They're dry is my issue. I think I have a fond memory of like all of those like Little Debbie snacks when I was a kid, but none of them really held up for me.
Not so much.
Star Crunch, whatever. Let's read some comments.
Ooh, this is a fun part of the show.
Yes.
Last week I forgot these.
That's all right.
Guys, the table just like, it sort of takes off and it takes on life of its own.
When we cover heavier topics, we need a lot of reference here, so.
We were talking about how like, these should probably be like digital slides, but like, no. I don't know, they just kind of happen this way.
It's more fun.
Whoa, getting spicy with the topic spin. This is from Leveler267. I love it, and I love that Knafs makes videos like this. Matt seems like an awesome and genuine dude. That's referencing the Benchmade video. I'm glad you brought him on the show, and he was able to speak as much as he was about Benchmade. I feel like today's topic is spicy.
Yeah, talk about spicy topics. Hopefully we get some lovely comments like that on this one.
We didn't really want to take on today's topic.
Yeah.
But it's interesting and it's relevant to our business. It's relevant to the knife industry.
I think that's the big thing, and my perspective on it is I don't know that a lot of other people are going to be talking about it. So
Not publicly.
So I'm happy to share any insights that we are able to share.
Yeah.
So
We were on a call with a dealer yesterday, and this dealer was like, tariffs, this could really impact our business. Because you think about, pick any dealer, what percentage of the products that they're selling are imported?
Right.
Anything from like the Yipper, imported from Italy.
Yep.
Right? To anything from We Savivi, the Banter, the Sendi, the The Sancho pen,
Yep.
also imported. All of that impacts their business, so something they're concerned about.
Yeah. Not the right video for this, but I'm curious why you chose to include the Lander 5 in the Lander family. It seems like a pretty far detour from the Lander design and could stand on its own independent product.
Were you in the industry when knife stacks were a thing?
Oh, yes. I used to love
we should do a
stacking
knife
the old
stack here.
knife.
I'm actually not going to do that, but I did need a few more
watch your hands.
hands here. So here's the thing that I was looking at is why is the Lander 5 in the line?
Yeah.
So if you don't mind, go ahead and hold that
Oh,
one.
you got it right there.
Our store hours are from noon to 6, by the way. We always have people walk in the morning that try to walk in.
It's about 11 a.m. and we've had 2 people.
This guy is poking his head through the window. Sorry for the distraction. Anyway, if you look at this knife stack, here's why the Lander 5 is in this line. Number one, it matches the DNA. We were always going for an inexpensive knife, imported, that was kind of a first knife for people, or kind of a way to get into it. But if you look at the handle shape is very, very similar between the Lander 5 and all of its cousins. You look at the blade shape, you've got that drop point. We changed a few things, it's a little more aggressive, but it's sort of this idea that these knives will evolve over a line. You look at the 6, same thing. So for me, it comes down to shape and intent within the line. So for me, Lander 5 was absolutely in this line.
Yeah.
Somebody else, Brian Gravely, I'm gonna put my knife stack down, so. I'm sure I'm quite late to the party on this, and many have mentioned it. It may have even been part of the marketing from the start, but it occurred to me today that Kershaw has their launch series where every new model is a new number, and you have your Lander series where every new model is a new number. Launch, Lander, that can't be a coincidence. Here's the thing, like, I've spent a ton of time selling launch knives. Blade HQ used to sell heaps and heaps of launches. Absolutely, that impacts the way I think about things. Spyderco has done naming a little differently, where it's like they have the Delica 4. Well, where's the Delica 321? Those are gone.
Yeah, those are old versions, basically.
Those are old versions, whereas we use the number to indicate the latest version.
Yeah.
You and I have had a big debate, Austin, about where do we end the Lander series?
The same launch question, really. I think they have like 12 or 13 launches, something like that, and it's like, that seems a little confusing on its face, so we do have a number that we'll end it at.
I think they have like 20 now.
They probably do, you're right.
Crazy.
Probably crazy. But yeah, we've got a number, we picked one, and we kind of said that's gonna be it, and we're gonna work on new stuff, so.
And we do have quite a few new products on the horizon.
Yes.
Hopefully we can make them.
I know.
Things like this, tariffs, they impact your product strategy.
They do.
Product strategy happens over months and years. We're in 2-3 years into a product strategy that includes manufacturing from all over the place. And so for us, we're having to modify our strategy and modify quickly. That's part of it. So.
Couple more quick ones here. The pronunciation of, I'll say, Bexar the wrong way when referring to the county in Texas is Bear. It's carryover from when Mexico owned Texas. San Antonio de Bear was the name of the Mexican administrative district around what is currently San
Referring to the tactile knife company.
Yes.
Bear.
Bear, yes. Thank you
like
for the
that.
feedback on that.
This is from Kiwakali 408. I mentioned that I had broken a knife in high school, so I went to Taiwan. They were just laughing about that. I wanted a replacement, so I went to Taiwan. I think sometimes storytelling is a funny thing.
That's a perfect product story to me. I hate to say that, but like I broke this thing when I was a kid. I always wanted something better, so now I made it.
And I think maybe what they're poking fun at is like, I had to go to Taiwan to find it. And it's like,
I guess.
I don't know. I think sometimes stories, like what's the saying? Don't let the truth get in the way of a good story.
A story, yeah.
Like, did I actually break the knife and then go to Taiwan? No, it was like I had this idea, went to Taiwan. So I don't know. Stories, if you take them literally, sometimes they, I don't know. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Oh, I think it's indifferent at this point. Yeah. McSquirgle is our last one. Not a keychain knife guy at all. Tried many times with Victorinox, Spyderco, Gerber, Case, etc. None of them worked for me. I just ended up preferring a more minimalist keychain carry. They're going to try out the Lander 6 and they'll follow up and let us know.
I love it.
Yeah, super exciting.
I love it. Appreciate the support. It means a lot.
Yeah.
It's really, really cool.
Absolutely.
What's next, Austin?
Let's keep talking tariffs, my friend.
Back into the story. By the way, we talked about back into tariffs. So this literally happened yesterday. I was preparing for this episode, trying to like make it simple for people. And the White House came out with this chart right here that included what they're calling reciprocal tariffs. So first things first, as of yesterday at midnight, 10% tariff from all countries, going into effect. So this is to raise funds for the government. It's to promote domestic manufacturing. Are we angry about it? No. Like this is what it is, right? Like am I frustrated? Yes.
Yeah.
I think there's a difference between frustration and angry.
Change is hard, right?
Change is hard.
I think that's a big component of it for me. Is like any new change is hard, and especially change that you can't control can be very hard.
Yes.
And so this can be in that frustration category of it's a change that I don't have any say over.
There's literally nothing you can do about it. So, and then this is where it kind of gets crazy because we've kind of, how do I put this? I've seen this on the horizon for a long time, whether it's geopolitical or whatever. Like diversification is a good idea. It's a good business idea. Diversification meaning we do business here, so that if that breaks, we can do business here still. So, for instance, I went to Taiwan last year to figure out, could we make more knives in Taiwan? Because now in Taiwan, we're paying a 5.4% tariff rate plus 3 cents each. So this knife comes in at a 5.4% tariff rate.
Right.
That was yesterday, before 4 p.m. Eastern, right? So this is where it gets kind of wild. President Trump will impose an individualized reciprocal higher tariff on the countries with which the United States has the largest trade deficits. Now, we could probably talk about trade deficits for a really long time in this big macro conversation. Essentially, the United States imports more things than we export. I want to talk briefly about that with knives, because you look at a country like China, who has really strict knife laws, or even Germany, or any of these so when we take it from a macro level, like yes, more automobiles, cars, whatever, but let's take it to a micro level. The United States is one of the biggest consumers of pocket knives in the world, whether that's Victorinox, whether that's Benchmade, Spyderco, MKM, whatever, pick your company. We have really great laws here for pocket knives. And so, yes, we're going to import more than we export to China. That's on the micro level of reciprocal within this industry. But I think you could look at that in terms of steel. Like we're shipping steel to China that comes back. That could be considered an export and then an import, right? But this is where it gets wild and crazy. So on this list, you've got Taiwan, which is tariffs charged the U.S. 64%. So the U.S. is now putting a 32% tariff on things from Taiwan. So this $14 knife, $15 knife, where does the price land with a 32% tariff, Austin? And obviously this is more to the sausage on this. But
definitely don't have a number, but we're paying 5 times, 6 times as much tariffs on that knife now than we were yesterday, the day before, which means that the next time we order that knife, it is going to cost us more money per unit to have that knife here.
To bring it in.
Yes.
To bring it in. So I think this brings us to the final question here. Who pays a tariff? Number one, it's companies, the importer. So, and we could dive deep into a deep rabbit hole of something called Incoterms. Google it, look it up. But basically, whoever is the importer of record is going to pay the tariff. So that could be Knafs as the importer, or it could be the factory who is listed as the importer. But eventually, a company will pay that tariff as a product comes into the U.S. Now, you and I run a business, Austin. We do our best. We try to make the darndest goodest products we can. Goodest? Put that in the comments. That's a real word. The darndest goodest products we can for an affordable price. Eventually, we will have to pass those tariffs on to consumers. Companies will pass the tariffs on to consumers via higher prices. That is what must happen. We cannot absorb a 32% or 34% tariff over time.
Correct.
Like that's all there is to it. And my final thesis on this is woof. Yuck.
I think coming back to that frustration word, it can feel unfair, right? It's like, why do I have to charge my customers more for this thing when I set it at an initial price or whatever? But this is the adaptability that we all need to kind of embrace here.
It's interesting, Austin, and since we're approaching the end of the episode here, let's give out more secrets for just a second. These scales are for a knife that we're working on.
Yep.
On our own machinery. We've purchased our own machinery, which is great. Guys, it is so stinking hard to make stuff.
Yeah. And expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm coming from a place of like, holy smokes, like having this happen like overnight is crazy.
It's difficult.
Because, I mean, even if we want to buy another machine, our machine came from China, right? So now you're tacking on an additional tariff on top of the machine to make things in the United States. This is a challenging moment. I'm all for making things here. It's something I've literally been working on for 2.5 years to try to figure out how to do it. And we're almost there. But at the same time, it's an uphill battle. And I guess maybe that's the thing, is whether you are in China making things and exporting to the US, if you're in the US making things or importing them, making things is hard. Creation is stinking hard. And so, I don't know, I don't think of this as a political thing. It is, sure, pros, cons, left, right, I don't care. We have to adapt to it. And adaptation is also stinking rough.
Really hard. Yeah, I think also to go along with that, perspective is everything, which I hope we've given you guys a little bit of perspective on this topic within the knife industry, within Knafs. But yes, they are hard, but that's also some of the joys of doing business, right? You get to overcome these challenges.
Yeah.
So hopefully you can view it as an opportunity.
Do you follow Origin USA?
A little
Vaguely.
bit. They do a lot of T-shirts and merchandise and stuff, right?
Yeah. They've been bringing manufacturing back to the U.S. for quite a while, and I respect what they're doing a lot. It's fascinating to watch the struggle, and it is a struggle. And I guarantee that the story that they're putting out to the public and the internal struggle, the actual internal struggles, are even harder than the things that they tell people publicly.
Yeah,
when we launched this knife in the U.S., the amount of struggle that you will see on video will be minuscule compared to the actual struggle.
Yeah.
And I think that's life, right?
It's life.
Piece of micarta.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Should we move on?
Well, let's move on. Wow,
Let's
what
do
a
it.
topic today.
Good topic.
What do we got
It
last
was
here,
fun.
Austin?
We got 2 more actually. We've got product spotlight next.
I like it.
Let's talk about some pens. How about Sancho pens? I've got one in front of me. I write with the Sancho every day. I probably mentioned it on the show before. I made a New Year's resolution to only write with the Sancho for the entire year.
Wow.
So far, so good. Have not used any other pens this year.
I'm honored.
Yeah, I can't remember who inspired me to do that, but I wanted to do it. So I think it's probably Brantley. But yeah, we've got the Sanchos here. What we kind of wanted to show off today was, what does it look like after you've had one for a while, right? I've got the brass here. In my right hand is an old one, and in my left hand here is a new one. And you can kind of see some of that patina that's come through on that brass. It's starting to darken, starting to smell a little bit. Just making it our own, basically, by using it. So
you run a pocket clip.
I do. Timascus.
Timascus pocket clip on yours. I do not.
Yeah. Tell me why.
It's a little flashy.
It is flashy.
It's a little flashy.
Jamie took a photo of some Sanchos yesterday and posted it, and I was like, "That's like got a tie-dye to it. It's eye-catching."
It's eye-catching.
Yeah.
I like that titanium, and I also like the little Easter egg on the underside of the titanium.
Yeah.
That says dream.
Yeah.
And I like that because we all gotta have dreams, man.
All gotta have dreams. But yeah, same story with the titanium. They kind of smooth out. You have a really well-used titanium one. Is that one yours?
Yeah, I've been carrying this for probably 6-8 months.
Yours is almost polished now by your hands in places, especially around the tip and stuff.
Yeah, just a little bit. The other thing is it rides in my pocket like next to my knife.
Yes.
So it's actually like rubbing that way.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I use the toothpick. I probably use the toothpick more than any other tool in my toolkit.
Me too.
I love it.
I can't believe how much I use the toothpick out of that thing.
I also found myself using the tweezers a little bit more. Some people have complained about the tweezers and how they need a flatter spot. They work pretty good for me.
They're pretty decent.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We're modifying them, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know.
Always getting better. But yeah, make sure you're grabbing your Sanchos. Get yourself a Timascus clip. Be like me if you'd like. And yeah, have some fun with it.
I like it.
Sweet.
Before we eat those fish, Austin, Fresh Prince.
I'm still preparing
Iron
for the
Shell
fish.
Mech. I don't even know what
right.
this is, man.
I'm going to pick them up here. Let's go. Kind of continuing on from one of the more recent shows here. This is a mech tortoise. I asked Matt for all the details on this, so
This
I will
is
do my
3D
best.
printed, right?
100%. I mean, there's some glue in there because it had to be assembled, but other than that, it is 100% 3D printed.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so this is an iron shell mech from the designer Toymaker 3D. It took Matt, so this is, I can't remember how many parts. I think it's like over 100 parts. It took Matt over 9 days of nearly continuous 3D printing to make this.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he only stopped it to pull parts off and stuff like that, but otherwise 9 full days. It took 7 hours to assemble. Again, mostly just gluing it together. And it used 3 kilograms of filament,
How many
6.6
spools is that?
pounds. That's less than a spool. That's about a third of a spool. Or no, sorry, that's 3, they come in kilograms, I think, so that's 3 spools.
Wow,
Yes,
that's amazing.
3 full spools of filament.
I'm such a novice 3D printer. In fact, I was looking at these scales over here, and I was like, this is called support material.
Yeah.
So when you 3D print, it's sitting on the bed this way, and so you have to have something on the inside. And I'm like, wow, look how fine that support material is. How did he do that?
Yeah.
And like, it has to do with the infill. You're basically saying don't do a lot of infill on these supports.
Right.
And I'm like, somebody knows how to do that.
Yeah.
Again, everything you create is hard to create. Like
It is.
He had to do thicker infill in here. What's the setting? Percentage higher infill
Correct.
for this stuff versus this stuff.
Sure.
And he had to know how to do that.
Yep.
Creation is amazing and it is hard.
Fascinating. I had the same revelation with this thing. I looked at it and I was like, someone had to sit down and design every piece of this to then fit together, screw together, all of the extras, the rockets, the fold out cannons, whatever. Like someone probably spent 100 hours, probably at least, designing this thing.
I love how it wobbles when we hit the table.
I know. He's flying. He's in his flying mode. This one has 2 different modes. You can put feet on it and a tail. It is intricate.
The reason we like 3D printing, guys, is we release the scale files to our knives so that you can make scales at home. So you can make your own this way. You can do whatever you want with it.
You can even 3D print this.
I think that's the show today. Is that the show, Austin?
I think that's it. Yeah, we got to eat though.
No, I think
I'm
that's
hungry.
the show, Austin.
No, I'm hungry
That's
actually.
the show.
Yeah, I'm a little peckish. So if we can bust those open.
Oh man, are we starting with seaweed or fish?
What's worse? What's better? Let me
Okay,
be positive. What's better?
Can I just make a request to President Trump? Can we put like 1,000%
There we
tariff
go.
on seaweed from
See, now we're talking.
seaweed candies? Like,
Yeah.
like I know like steel and aluminum and things like that might be important, but like,
You want to get me excited about tariffs? Tariff the dead fish packages coming from. Don't do that. Oh crap! All right, here we go. Let's pull one
I
out
want
of there.
all of the nasty candies tariffed. Cheers.
Dink. Oh, it's crunchy. It's I've got what it tastes like, but what do you think it tastes like?
They're kind of a pickly.
They pickle. It's a pickled. Yeah, they've pickled that.
Oh, it's not good.
I don't know if I'm prepared for these. Yeah, I'm having.
You know, like when you eat something and it sits in your stomach. I feel like that's what this is about to do. Can I spit it out?
Sure. What are you doing to us? Thank you.
Can I spit it out? I'll finish it. I'll finish it. Down the hatch.
I'm still chomping on it.
I feel like it's gonna sit in my stomach all day and just like, whoa, doing it. Okay.
Gone. Ooh.
Do you have to name your fish before you eat it?
Yeah, I think this one's Jeffrey.
This looks like a Susan to me.
Okay.
Ah, that seaweed's nasty, man. Cheers.
Dink those. Very hard.
Okay.
Tastes like basically nothing. I mean, it tastes like fish,
Yeah.
but basically nothing.
Okay, if you had to subsist on a diet of little fish or seaweed for the rest of your life, which one do you choose?
I would do
Austin?
better with the fish.
I would too.
Wow, I can't believe I'm saying that.
But it's the texture and like, yeah.
there was a.
Oh, the aftertaste on the fish
It
is
is
coming
fishy. Yeah, they are fishy. But there was a fishiness to the seaweed too that I did not love.
in. I think I've got an eyeball stuck in my teeth. Good thing I have a Sancho pen here.
Oh, boy.
Guys, we're gonna end this episode. Thanks for sticking around to the end. Let us know what you thought in the comments. Should we take on controversial stuff? Should we take on political hot topic news? I don't know.
Give us your hot take.
We'd love to hear what you guys think. Keep it civil, keep it good. We'll have another video coming out for you pretty soon.
We'll see you then.